In the next few minutes, I'll show you how to make a simple but gorgeous animated Christmas card. Here you can find your pixel brush, your vector brush, and your bucket tool that we'll be using in this drawing. Create a blue background with the vector bucket fill, and then use the magic wand to select the blue area. The dash selection will keep the next step tidy. Next, create another layer and use the white vector brush to put a blanket of snow on the ground. Don't forget to deselect. The next step is optional. Create another snow layer, but this time use a pixelated brush. And depending on what you have in your library for brushes, find one that looks like snow. I tried several and found one that made the snow look fluffy. Next, you'll need to choose a different color, choose green for the tree, and turn on the symmetry tool. You'll notice in this video that I create a different layer for each object. I'm using a vector brush to make a green tree and a bucket fill to color it in. Next, I'm going to choose the symmetry tool again, but I'm going to choose one of the flower shapes for multiple points. And I'm also using the Move Guide button to put it exactly where I want it. And then I'll turn the Move Guide off so that I can go in and draw without changing the location of the symmetry tool. I noticed that I had drawn my star upside down, so I used the Transform tool to flip it, enlarge it, and make it located exactly where I wanted it. After I completed the star, I selected the tree again, created another layer, and made a gold garland over the top. Notice I had to turn off my symmetry tool to do that. Once I had the basics of the tree done, I added the Christmas lights. For the Christmas lights, I'm creating 2 different layers. Each of the layers are going to have multicolored lights on them. Here's the first layer and the second layer. With the Christmas lights drawn on 2 separate layers, I can add the motion tool to make them blink. Here's where you can find the motion tool. Choose the layer that you want to add motion to, turn on the motion tool here, and control the motion here. Once the motion control shows at the bottom of your screen, then you'll be able to click on the Path button, and it will reveal the advanced motion controls on the side menu. To make the lights blink, I chose the Fade In and Fade Out tool. You'll notice at the bottom that the overall frames per second is set to 12. This motion setting controls all the motion that you do on any layer, which is a little bit confusing if you don't know that to start with. It took some experimenting with different layers and different frames per second motion settings to finally discover that the way that I could differentiate the speed of one layer from another layer was to use the advanced setting on the side, and I scrolled all the way down to where it says frames, and I just would choose a different number. And that's only on the right hand side in the advanced setting that it will work on that layer alone. You can play around with these settings as I did until I got the lights to blink just how I wanted them to, with some coming on while others were going off. Here's a way to animate the star. Choose that layer, add motion to it, and on your side menu, choose the rotate option Spin. Now let's make it snow. Create a new layer and put 1 dot of white in the sky. Choose that layer, add motion to it. At the bottom of your screen, click on the Path button, and then draw a line from the top of the screen to the bottom at a diagonal. You'll see an X and a dashed line. Next, we'll go on the side menu and we will choose multiple. And then after that, we will ask it to scatter all of those snowflakes. I set the multiples to 16 and I push scatter all the way to the maximum so that I have a lot of snowflakes going across the sky. But that did not seem like enough, so I went back on the same layer, turned the motion off, and I added several more white dots to the sky. Here it is at regular speed. You'll notice that I adjusted the location of this to go behind that layer of snow I had on the bottom. I decided to add another layer of snow that would go in front of the tree. And so you can see I'm going up and down the side here looking at how my layers are located. And I've decided to add one more layer on the very top. So I press the Add Layer button, and that's where I'm going to put my next layer of snow. So I again add motion to that layer, and I scatter the snow, add multiples, Now you can see that the snow goes both in front of the tree and behind the tree, but you'll notice that that little frosty layer that I put on way back in the beginning isn't working as well with the snow moving across it. So I decided to completely get rid of the fluffy snow that was on the blanket at the bottom. To add even more winter wonder to this drawing, I created another layer. I used the symmetry tool and a vector brush to create a white snowflake that was much larger than the others I'd done. And then I added motion to that layer. I added the path, I added multiples to this, and I added the scatter to it. And in the end, it wasn't enough, so I added a couple more motion paths. Here it is at regular speed, and as I was observing the motion of all of the lights blinking, the snow falling, the larger flakes in the foreground, it felt like the star was competing a little bit, and so I decided to delete the motion on the star. Here it is with the star still. The last step in this drawing is to publish it and export it. There's two choices in the Adobe Fresco program for motion files, and you can choose either a GIF, which is going to have one loop in it, or you can choose an MP4 and you can loop it as many times as you want. The MP4 will allow you to do a longer video. If you made it this far, I know that you're very interested in animating your drawings. So please hit the like button if you found this useful. If you want to learn more about this and get better at your drawing and your animation skills, please subscribe to my channel. Let's build our skills together. I really appreciate that you stopped by to check this video out. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.